Welcome officially to the 2024 season. We are about a week and a half away from the Jaguars going to Miami for week 1, September 8th at 1 p.m. Oh man, I'm excited. I'm JT Raymond, one of the hosts of the Jag Bros, along with my two brothers, Jack and Joey. We are lifelong Jaguar fans, grew up in Jacksonville, generation Jaguars, all born in the 90s, all getting to watch them succeed early and then fail for almost 15 years. It is fun now that the Jaguars are more relevant. Boys, are we excited for the 2024 season?
I'm ecstatic. I can't wait. I've been waiting all summer. I've actually been a little depressed how long the summer has felt. I've wanted this season to come so badly after such a bitter taste of last season, of being so close but just fumbling it away. I just feel like they're going to come back stronger with an attitude. The team seems better. Trevor seems happier with this roster. I am very excited for this season.
That's right. It's time to turn the narrative around all offseason. It's the Jaguars choked. Everyone's talking about how Trevor Lawrence was way overpaid, how he's not lived up to the hype. Well, now is a chance to prove it. And so you better believe all of us diehard Jags fans, we are fired up for some DUUUVAL, baby, and some Jacksonville Jaguars football, real football, after going 3-0 in the preseason. We're ready.
Hey, 3-0. We got to start somewhere. And that is exactly what the Jaguars have done. They've come out hot in preseason. This episode is going to be a shorter one than usual. We're going to talk about what our AFC South predictions are, the number of wins we're projecting for the Jaguars. We'll look at breakout players for both offense and defense, guys that you want to keep your eyes on, as well as maybe a couple hot takes for week 1 or the rest of the year. So this should be a fun episode.
It's going to be a ton of fun. We're going to drop these on Twitter or on X. We're going to post all of our accounts in the description of the episode. So we'll post these as well. Interact with us there. But let's go ahead and get started with the big one. What is your record prediction after week 18? What is the Jacksonville Jaguars record going to be for the regular season?
I'll go ahead and get us started. I went game by game, tallying up the victories and losses. And to be honest, I was starting to have too many W's, which I got a little concerned with.
17-0.
And I think I came up with a very solid 12-5 season. I think we do very well. We're going to be right with the Houston Texans till the end, and we're going to take the AFC South as the AFC South champions.
Let's go! AFC South champions! Woo! Love it, Joey. I'm feeling it. I'm optimistic. I've already been on record multiple times saying the Jaguars are going to go 17-0 as they win 3-0 in the preseason. So 20-0 going into the playoffs. So we can just cut that clip right there when we do, and I can look like a genius. But in reality, there's never been a team that's gone 17-0 since the adjusted schedule. And I don't know if the Jaguars are actually going to be able to do that. That being said, I am equally as optimistic as you are, Joey. I am equally as optimistic on some of these wins. I look at our schedule. Right now, it's middle of the road. It's ranked 14th by some sites on the strength of schedule, which is honestly a lot harder than it was the year before, where we threw up all over ourselves and choked down the stretch. When I look at it, I see 6, maybe 7, I'm going to say guaranteed wins, but wins that you should win more often than not, playing the Colts twice, the Titans twice, the Raiders, the
Patriots.
The Patriots, thank you, and the Vikings. And then there's a lot of games that are toss-ups. I think we have the ability to go 13-4, so a little bit better than you. Where things that concern to me are the Dolphins on the road, the Lions on the road,
Eagles on the road,
and then I think we probably end up splitting the Texans. But if we're going 13-4, we're most likely going to win the division as well, as long as we start to see a little bit of that sophomore slump we're all hoping for CJ Stroud.
You know what? I had a lower number written down all my notes, but crumple it up, throw it away. Y'all have me convinced. The Jags are going 11-6. Yes, it's a harder schedule. The Jaguars are going to be underdogs more, but as diehard Jags fans, we know that that's where we thrive. So
that's right.
The Jags are underdogs. They're going to be counted out. They're already underdogs week 1 at 3.5-point underdogs to the Dolphins. And I think the Jags are going to shock a lot of people. Give me 11-6. Give us a team that's going to take the next step this year.
Yeah. Hey, for those that don't know, Doug Peterson is actually a really good coach as an underdog. Overall, at certain points going into this season, I think he's 5-1 as a home underdog in the playoffs and 5-0 straight up as an underdog, or sorry, 4-1 straight up as an underdog. He's somebody who likes to have the chips against him a little bit. And I think that's where the Jaguars are going to be starting 2024.
Oh, I think this is a great position for the Jaguars. You got the Houston Texans to take all the limelight, and they're going to be the darling babies of the national news. You know that we don't like the national news. We seem to crumble under it. I think we're going to sit pretty. We're going to be making wins. People are going to start hearing rumblings of the Jaguars, but not really paying attention. And then all of a sudden, they just keep piling them up, and then we win it all, baby. I think we are posed for a great, great season.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, so let's talk about where this production's coming from. Jack, give us your offense and defensive breakout players of the year for 2024.
So this should come as no surprise. This is a guy who tore it up in the preseason, where 2 months ago people were talking about, hey, is he even going to make the team? Yeah, he made the team and he looked really good. As Parker Washington had the longest kick return of the preseason. He is going to be a reliable wide receiver 4, and look for him to go from having some injuries his rookie season to being a guy with 400, 500 yards. Trevor Lawrence has praised him. The coaches have praised him. Look for some big returns, big plays, and a good receiving year for Parker Washington.
Wow, a little zig and a zag there. We were talking about the preseason hype and all the noise that he had made, followed by a fairly quiet summer. I thought you were going to go a different wide receiver there, Jack.
No way. Parker Washington, chop wood, carry water. That's what he tweeted. That's what he's going to do this year.
I like it. I like it. My breakout player, as I've been saying on last couple episodes, you all may know, it's going to be Tank Bigsby. I think he breaks out this season. I think he really poses himself as a great running back 2, or maybe even a running back 1B, a little fire and ice combination between him and Etienne. Etienne's going to be breaking those big runs in the middle of field, and Tank's going to come in and lay the lumber, help carry the load, and help get Etienne some rest so he's not having to take on such huge hits. I think it's going to be a great breakout season for Tank Bigsby.
Man, I hope Gabe Davis is not listening, because Joey is the president of the Gabe Davis fan club, and I am shocked that we didn't roll with Gabe Davis there, Joe.
The only reason I say I didn't go with Gabe Davis is because he's already broken out. He's already had 700-yard years. Well, no, he's already had 700-yard years. He's already had 8 touchdowns in a season.
He's already had mediocre performance for years. That's the type of performance we're about to see from him again.
I was just going with someone who had maybe like 100 yards last season, and now this person is going to have like 500 to 600 yards rushing. I think it's going to be a bigger breakout for Tank Bigsby than it is for Gabe Davis. But y'all are crazy on thinking Gabe Davis is mediocre. Delusional.
There's the president of the fan club.
I guess the Jaguars, I didn't realize that Jaguars breakout player on offense being deep cuts. We're talking about our 4th string wide receiver and our 2nd string running back. So why not follow that up with a 3rd string tight end, Britton Strange, who's about to double his output last year, maybe break 100 yards receiving. I'm just kidding. That's not my pick for breakout offensive player of the year. Mine is going to be Trevor Lawrence. That seems like a too easy of a pick, but the reality is we've seen little pieces of him in his career where it feels like he could be that top 5, top 7 level quarterback that I think most Jaguar fans hope to see. I think he's going to be able to take that next step. We've seen some of the playbook open up in the preseason. Ideally, we see him throw the ball over the middle of the field, and these larger red zone targets help him be able to convert better in the red zone. So I love to see Trevor cut down on the fumbles, cut down on the interceptions, increase the touchdowns, and actually solidify himself in that Josh Allen type of tier of quarterbacks.
All right, JT, do you see Trevor Lawrence making a possible MVP year this year?
Hey, if the Jaguars are going 13-4 and he's a breakout player, like if it wasn't for the fact that he's in Jacksonville and everybody knows the national media hates the Jaguars, I absolutely would think he has the profile at least of somebody that could do that.
Oh, you don't want to put a hot take that he's winning it this year?
No, I have a hot take that the national media hates us, and it wouldn't matter. I mean, even when Brunell had led the league and we're 14-2, he was an MVP that year. So I think they'll find a way to give it to Jalen Hurts or somebody else.
That's very true. The national media does hate us, but hopefully that'll be a good thing to keep us out of the limelight because the limelight did not do us well last year. But let's move on to the defensive breakout players. Who do you think is going to break out on our defense this year with Ryan Nielsen leading the team?
This is a popular one, but I'm going to roll with Andre Cisco. He is a guy that all three of us like. He's a Jaguars fan favorite. He's made some big plays at that huge interception week 18 against the Titans that I thought was going to set us up to win the AFC South last year. Maybe it's 2024 where he gets a big pick to set us up to win the AFC South, but I like Cisco to take a jump. I hope we pay him mid-season because he is still just turned 24 years and a very, very bright future for the Jags.
Yeah, Jack, you stole mine. I would love to pick Cisco. He's in a contract year. He seems to be hitting his stride, and it's a team that Jacksonville fans are much higher on than I think some of the metrics or some of the national media narrative surrounding him. I'm going to go with the newcomer from San Francisco, Eric Armstead. I think he's going to be the key to the defense. We've talked about leading into this episode the concern around lack of depth at the defensive end. I think Hines Allen will do fantastic. I think Trayvon Walker will continue to take that next step up. But there's not a lot of depth there. Eric Armstead seems like a guy that they want to be able to move around on the defensive line. I would like to see him have that performance, that peak performance like he had in San Francisco, where he had 10 sacks in a season and a number of QB rushes. We've seen that from time to time, and maybe this is our Calais Campbell, where you're able to get a veteran on
Jacksonville 2.0.
What was viewed as his last leg, come back and have a resurgence.
I like both of y'all's, and I'm going to pick actually Cisco's partner, the guy on the other side of the field, and the new safety, Antonio Johnson. I think he is about to set himself up for having a great year. He is starting this year, and I think he is going to have a absolute breakout year with a couple interceptions, and he's really going to make a name for himself as a new safety star on this Jags defense.
All right. Well, next week is week 1 in Miami. We'll drop that week 1 preview episode next week. But before we wrap up this episode, we need one final. What is your biggest hot take for the Jacksonville Jaguars? It can be week 1 or it can be the entire season. But what's your hot take for these Jags?
Joey, you've been a walking hot take the last couple of months saying Tank Bigsby's going to have over 500 yards rushing. The fact that the Bills are going to be terrible with Josh Allen this year. The fact that Gabe Davis is going to have like a 1,400 yard receiving season. So hit us up with a good one here to start us off.
I do believe in a lot of those things. I think the Bills is an easy W because they will not be good this year at all. I don't think Gabe Davis is going to have 1,400 yards, but I do think he's going to get over 1,000 yards this season. A nice big hot take here. I think that he is going to really be our wide receiver number 2. I think he's going to be a great red zone guy. I think in this first game, he will have a touchdown and over 100 yards in the first game against the Dolphins and really solidify himself as a new starter for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Woo, love it. I'm going to go with a hot take here that I think has plagued the Jaguars for forever, and that is red zone offense. I think Jacksonville is going to finish as a top 5 red zone offense this year. We have 2 wide receivers coming in with a lot more height. We've already seen Evan Ingram being targeted in the red zone that we've been screaming for. And you know what? Trevor's 1 year older, 1 year wiser. Maybe there's a couple of turnovers that he doesn't throw on the 2-yard line this time. So I love to see Jacksonville get into the top 5 in red zone efficiency this year.
Well, my Jaguars hot take comes on the defensive side of the ball. This is a guy that I've been extremely high on from the draft. Another Jaguars newcomer rookie, Jarian Jones, I think is going to be tied for the lead for the Jaguars in terms of interceptions. I think you're going to see him get some opportunities at slot corner, potentially later in the season at corner 2. If we see some injuries, I think people are going to try to test him in the season, and it's going to be a big mistake. And so I think Jarian Jones gets 5 picks in his rookie year and ties the other Jaguars leader, maybe Cisco, for interceptions for our defense.
Well, I know 2 games where Jarian Jones is not going to be successful, and that's going to be the Bears and the Patriots, because those games are across the pond, and I think we all know how Florida State players play away from the United States.
Ooh,
Whatever. College football is over. It's time for the NFL for all other Florida State fans. It's over.
Gators.
We're done.
Well, I also have a hot take for the defense really quick, and it's for a player that I've been wanting to yell his name all last season, but it seems like he is starting to actually make a rotation into the starting lineup this year, and that is Yasser. I think he will actually get some rotational edge play and be able to get some sacks, and we will get to yell that name, and I think he'll be the 4th leader on sacks and get 4 to 5 sacks this season. I'm going to think that he is another breakout guy, and as a hot take here, that he will finally be able to get himself a yes sir.
Lots of hot takes for our beloved Jacksonville Jaguars. Again, we're going to drop this all on Twitter/X. So give us your hot takes. I think there's ways to do this on Spotify as well, certainly in the YouTube comments, but we want to hear your Jags hot takes too.
I do have one correction. Brenton Strange actually only caught 35 yards, so doubling his output would actually be 70 and not 100.
Hey,
Brenton
it can happen.
Strange hate is real.
So then he'll triple it.
Exactly.
All righty, you've heard our hot takes, and we are very excited for this season, as you are as well. As Jack said, we want to hear your hot takes on all of our social medias. Let us know what you think about our hot takes. If we're spot on or if we're as dumb as doornails, just let us know in the comments. We like to read all of them, and we will engage with you. We are ready for this Dolphins game, Sunday, September 8th. 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, or wherever you're watching it. And I hope everyone is watching it, because we will be live tweeting it as well, as we are very excited. But until then, we will go ahead and sign off as we always do.
DUUUVAL.